Hey everyone, and welcome back to Inland Empire Coaches Talk. Today I'm with the head coach from Cal Poly Pomona, Randy Betten.
Yeah.
Randy, thanks for being on the program.
Oh, pleasure to be here. Excited about it.
Tell the folks at home a little bit about you, the program, and your background in baseball.
Yeah. Well, like you announced me, Randy Betten, head baseball coach, Cal Poly Pomona. Been there 10 seasons now. Was at UCR. Always been an Inland Empire guy, kind of raised in Highland, California. I'm sure everybody's familiar with that, but went to a private school there. Had a scout tell me, hey, if you want to get in baseball, you need to go to RCC. So went to RCC, wanted to have a career. Next thing you know, kind of moved up. Went to Arizona State University after that. Played with the California Angels back then. I know they've switched a bunch of names now, but the Angels for about 7 years. Once I got out of that, was back to RCC. Then to UCR, Cal Baptist for a little stint. I mean, I've hit almost every college here except for La Sierra. And then went to Cal Baptist, UCR, and now Cal Poly Pomona. So it's been a great ride.
Awesome. So, I mean, obviously you've been with some great coaches throughout your career. Dennis Rogers was just inducted to the Hall of Fame. Were you there during the Murphy era of?
No, I was there with Coach Brock. I was Coach Brock's passed away my junior year of college. Okay. We went to the College World Series, and he had terminal cancer and fought through it the whole way. So he flew back after we got eliminated, and a couple days later, he passed away. It was a tough time. So
being with some of those legendary coaches, what was one thing that they instilled in you that you try to give to your kids now?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I think just keep it simple. Go out there every single day, work hard, do the right thing. I think those are kind of the main messages that I've heard along the way. Treat people with respect. Treat them how you want to be treated. That's from the number one pitcher to the backup catcher. You treat everybody with respect and you'll get it back. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do to my program now.
So your program is interesting because you are on probably one of the most iconic fields with one of the most iconic coaches in all of baseball. So how do you live up to his legend? And talk to me a little bit about like the evolution that you guys have gone through at Cal Poly.
Yeah, well, it's funny. In a roundabout way, playing for Dennis Rogers, he played for Coach Scalinas. Dennis was my mentor. Coach Scalinas was Dennis's mentor. So in a roundabout way, it all comes back to Coach Scalinas, right? So to live up to him, not even close. I can't even approach what he's done. But I'm just trying to get the program kind of respected like it was. Not that it wasn't before. Not that it wasn't. There was a time it was down a little bit. Every day I go to that field, I say a little prayer, Coach, help me today. Whatever you need to me to instill in these players, to instill in this program, please help me. Take a little walk around the field just to kind of get some of his mojo a little bit. And that's how I do it. I can't live up to him. I can never. I mean, not only as good of a baseball coach, he was an unbelievable person. Yeah. So for me, I just try and do what he would do, I guess, is the best I can do. I knew him a little bit. I didn't have a chance to really play under him or coach underneath him. But the closest I was with Dennis. And I heard a lot of stories from Dennis about what he's about. So, I just try and do that every single day and try and live up as best I can. Yeah.
I mean, the man who all of us know as the 17 inches, and this is how you live your life. And if you're going to get anywhere, you have to be consistent with that 17 inches. I tell every coach and every umpire that we work with, like, you need to read this. You need to watch this presentation. Right. Just because it transcends baseball and sports into life and just the fundamentals of how we live. Yeah. Obviously, we're going through a lot right now. I mean, you should be hosting the CC2A tournament right now. Are you guys going to be still hosting next year?
Actually not. We're just going to get skipped over. It's going to go up to Chico State next year. And then I think the year after that, in 2000, correct me if I'm wrong, in 2023 maybe, it's at Monterey Bay. So hopefully we get it back in 2024. We did all that facility renovations to get it up to speed and to get the playing surface and the backstop all renovated, and then, only play 16 games on the field. So it was kind of unique.
Yeah. And you guys are still going to be putting in grandstands. You're only in stage 3 of 4?
Correct. Okay. Correct. The next one is the dugout renovations, the stadium seating, and then it's the player facility, such as a locker room, hitting facility, because we desperately need that. What we have is fine, but it needs to be upgraded.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about Division II baseball. Obviously, most people are used to Division I or JC. You don't see as much love or understanding of NAIA, D3, Division II, and the differences.
Right. Well, it's funny. I got an interesting perspective because I played, coached, and pretty much every level except for Division III. Was at NAIA when Cal Baptist was at NAIA. So the levels, the playing, there's not much difference. A little bit of speed difference. What do you mean by that? The game is played a little bit faster at the different levels. The players are still good. When I was at Cal Baptist with Gary, there's some guys that played in the big leagues from that league. From Point Loma when they were all in that. There's some guys that played in the big league. So there's good players at all of them. It's not the fact. The one thing you're going to run into is a little bit of speed. The difference is the depth of the play. The pitching bullpen's maybe not as strong. The fifth outfielder isn't quite as fast. He has a little flaw in his game. That's the only thing I noticed. But at those levels, there's really, really good players, really talented players.
And also, you have a lot of players that go laterally between those three levels. I mean, NAI is pretty much an open book. The NAI World Series, there was kids pumping 96. You might as well have had a Division I or an international team out there because there's not the same recruiting violations or template that you all have to work with.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is you talked about the different levels. There's different requirements to get into school or to transfer to or to be eligible to play. And with Division I, obviously we all know those rules, the NCAA rules. Division II, still bound by the NCAA. There are different criterias. Same with Division III, there's different criterias. And then the NAI, it's
open book.
Yeah, it pretty much is. JC, we know what that is. That's a 2-year institution. I went there there's several reasons why I've coached there and been there. Basically, it was for an academic reason why I went there, but that's usually why you go there. So that's the difference, and that's why you see a lot of lateral movement, like a guy from a junior college. Okay, maybe I can't get to Division I school. Division II, okay, it's a little easier. I don't want to say easier to get in, a little less qualifications to get into school.
And also, there's not the same. With Division I, when you're locked in to a Division I, you're kind of locked in unless you sign a professional contract or drop down to a JC. So I think a lot of parents don't understand, or a lot of times we don't talk about, okay, if your son is looking at a professional contract and decides not to take that Division I scholarship, okay, and then that falls through. I mean, how many are we going to be looking at this summer now going on and then dropping down from 18 rounds to 5 rounds? It's going to be interesting.
No, this year I don't know what this year looks like. I mean, I know we're going through this pandemic. I don't even know what the baseball season looks like or what rosters are going to look like. Everybody got their years back as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, all the seniors.
Yeah, they're all used to it. So it's like a redshirt year basically for everybody. So they all got their year back. So, I had 8 seniors. 5 are going to return. 3 will not. 3 looked at it and go, you know what? I'm done with school. I don't want to. Master's degree doesn't really interest me, or not going to help me professionally. I'm just going to go on. So, I wonder what every Division I team are going to look like. I don't know. Plus the incoming guys. We sign. Division II is a little different than Division I. Division I, they're getting kids to verbal commit way earlier. For me, for Division II, we're kind of like, hey, let's just see what Division I teams I get an offer from, or maybe don't get an offer. Now I'll go to Division II. And for me, there's not a lot of early signing. So I was able to kind of not have a huge roster at this point today.
Yeah. Do you have any legacy kids, where their parents went to Cal Poly or were under Scalinas and then came in? Or
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I haven't ran into that quite yet.
Okay.
It's funny for me because some of these kids are my son's age. I have a senior. He just graduated from Riverside Poly. It's funny because he could be playing for me. That's kind of unique for me a little bit going on. I still think I'm 25 years old, but I look up, I'm not 25 anymore.
Yeah, you and I both. Yeah. Because I know coming from the U of R and I work with the U of R, there's so many legacy kids that probably shouldn't be at a Division III school because they have the academics, they have the athletic ability, but my parents went there, my grandparents went there, and so that is how it's going to be for them as well, because there's just that structure and community that the university has created. I know Cal Poly's trying to do it, but that's more difficult at a state school than it is at a private institution, I think.
Yes, you're correct. I am still looking for a couple guys, but maybe, down the road we have some guys that eventually played for Coach Scalinas, and then their sons are now getting that age that they want to play for me. So hopefully that's the case.
Well, especially, you're making Cal Poly into a powerhouse.
Trying to.
You've made postseason how many times in the last 5 years?
Oh my gosh!
This year, not.
Yeah, 4 of the last. I think it's 4 of the last 5, and 5 of the last 6. So we did a pretty good run there, where we went to the World Series back to back. But the last few years have been pretty successful, with some special moments. There was one particular moment we weren't really a team that was going to get an at-large bid, and we had to win the conference tournament in order to get that automatic bid. So that was a pretty unique time.
Now, talk a little bit, because you talk about the conference tournament. It's been up in Stockton for the last 15 years at the Port Stadium, and that's always been a very interesting environment. What was the thought process of bringing it back to the university side?
I think, I was in those meetings. I sat in those head coaches meetings. Why we decided it was cost. It was all cost. We were all traveling to go to a central location in Stockton, hotel rooms, buses. You could be there for 5 days at some point. I think the year we won it, like I was just alluding to, we were there 5 days. That's a big expense there. So I think just having on the site, you're going to get more fans. It's a neutral site in a sense. I know it's not neutral for me, but I think we've all played on that field, so it's nothing unique. And there's some people in the stands. That was the one thing. We went up there, and there was a few parents here.
Yeah, Stanislaw would bring people down. Monterey would come across a little bit when Walt was in it, and then Chico would always come down.
Yeah, but that was about the extent of the parents. Other than that, there was anybody else there.
Yeah.
Empty stadium, baseball being played. So why not do it on our campus field, where you maybe get some of the student excitement about the game?
Absolutely. You said that you still have some spots available. Talk about recruiting, especially now during the pandemic. A, what type of players do you look for? And B, how are you doing your recruiting with your assistants, because you can't go out to high school games right now?
Yeah, we're actually on a quiet period, or a dead period. I think it's going to go into quiet here next week. There's no off-campus recruiting. There's no games to go see. So a lot of the stuff that we've been getting is video. We understand our needs. We looked at our roster. Hey, what do we need for next year? And said, okay, we need to identify, these 2 areas that we got to attack, and just hit all the high school coaches. Just to double check with some of the guys that we were actively recruiting at the time. JC coaches throughout the state. Hey, what's available? What do you have? These are our needs. Do you have anybody that might fit our need? And then just the random email. A guy emailing me going, hey, I played at such and such college, and I'm interested in Cal Poly Pomona. I'm a good student. I've already been accepted. Things like that. That's kind of how we're doing it right now. And basically, we try not to over-recruit. We try and bring in good players, like-minded as us, mentally tough guys that like to compete. I keep it as simple as I can. I'm pretty vanilla when it comes to my recruiting. I just kind of like to meet with everybody. I like to get a face-to-face contact just to kind of see what they're about. This has been really tough. We've done some Zoom and some FaceTime calls on our recruiting. Unfortunately, we didn't get those kids, but it's been a unique experience to be on a phone trying to communicate and figure out what they're about, and them as well trying to figure out what I'm about.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I work a lot with like Perfect Game and a lot of the tournaments, the area code games. Do you go out to those? Because I know all the D1 coaches for the most part go to the main showcases, but with having so much travel baseball in your backyard, is that something that you or your coaches go out to?
Yes. We try and hit as many events as we can. Our recruiting budget's not very big, so we try and hit the more local ones as best we can, but the area code is always good. Yeah. There's always somebody that sneaks through the cracks that hasn't verbally committed or officially committed to a school, and he's a good player. He just maybe is undersized or just hasn't been seen, and then all of a sudden you get in there, and now all of a sudden you become a valid option.
Yeah, and I think a lot of coaches are going to be finding, because working with PBRT, 5-Tool, more Midwest-style companies are now coming west.
Yeah, see that.
So they're really pushing that envelope of premier travel baseball on the West Coast, which we've all known from the Midwest, especially down south. I mean, it's nuts, the facilities that they've come up with. But now with Irvine and Great Park in your backyard, it's 35-minute, depending on the amount of traffic drive.
Well, as you know, in Southern California here, you can see when baseball was going every day, you could see a game every day. It's where do you want to go today?
Oh,
you know, is it Ryan Lemon Field or wherever you wanted to go? You could find a game. That was unique about us. But, you know, now with the shutdown, I actually got some emails about some virtual camps. Some login to, you know, and I'm like, well, I guess that's maybe what we're going to have to do right now.
There's a new indoor league that's starting next week, and I'm going to be running the umpires for it. Actually, after this afternoon, I have to go walk the facility. But I was like, wait, we're doing what? Like,
there's actually going to be umpires for that? I didn't know that. I knew about the indoor league, but I just thought it was going to be kind of pitcher to hitter, hitter to catcher, you know, kind of one of those things.
Nope, we're actually going to have umpires for it because they want to actually be able to use it as a recruiting tool for a lot of these kids.
Okay.
So it's an interesting concept, and you could see the adaptation that's coming out of this pandemic of how people have to kind of work their way around it. So with the pandemic, what would you tell kids? What hope would you give to parents right now?
You know, well, like I said, I have a senior son, and he's graduating. He's going to go to RCC, and I told him the same thing. This is a great time to get your body in shape as best you can. Home gyms. I know gyms aren't open, but your home gyms, body weight, run, push-ups, sit-ups, all the things that you could do at home, do at home. Now, we don't have a cage, so we've been going to some fields while they were when they weren't closed. We were able to go to fields and hit a little bit, take some ground balls, play catch. Those are things you can do in the street. You know, go out and play catch. I told my son, go out and play catch every single day. It's a perfect time. Doesn't mean you got to lengthen it out, but just do some type of baseball activity. The other thing is, I even mentioned this to the team, is there's so much professional development right now. Go online, podcast, YouTube, whatever. Check some games out. ESPN's been doing a great job for me, just showing some college baseball. Just going on there and just watching some games.
They had the Fresno State with Mike Batesel.
Exactly.
Their Cinderella story from 08.
Just to kind of get yourself, you see it from a different perspective. You're not worried about failures or whatever's going on, wins and losses. You're just watching the game to be a fan and just pick up things. And that's what I really told the team. I said, just don't sit there and play video games all day long. There's a time you got to get away from the game, and you know, you got a little self-time with some video games or whatever. But then after that, if there's time to watch a game, watch the game. Watch the game. Take the time to really dissect the game. That's what I told the team to do.
I mean, I know with working with umpires and trying to, that a lot of them have asked, and we've all said the same thing. You need to be in shape, and you need to get your eyes ready. Because when it turns on, there's not going to be an excuse. A coach isn't going to care that you haven't seen a pitch in 3 months. They want you to get that pitch right. They want you to be consistent with it. Like, there is no, we're going to have a little spring training right now. It's let's go. We're going back to work as usual.
But that's funny. And that's basically what I'm telling the players, because summer ball's still up in the air, too, for our guys if they're going to go out. So I just told them, I said, if you get a chance to play catch, if you get a chance to hit into a catch net, something, just getting that baseball speed, just doing something. So it's similar to what you're saying about having your eyes ready. It's just getting used to the speed again.
It's funny because we've actually been, myself personally, we've been selling more batting cages, tees, and just nets like I put it out on Facebook to people, and I've had more people, I need a cage. I'm like, okay. But it's odd for us because we're used to working with coaches all day, and we know your timeline's very specific needs, and you kind of go through the process versus the retail is so emotional.
Right.
People buy when they can and when they want it, and they want it now, and it's just that instant gratification that from an outside sales rep's position, it's very odd for a lot of us. Because we don't work in the retail space anymore. We don't have a warehouse where I can be like, hey, you want this?
Right.
And a brick and mortar store. So it's just different, but people are adapting. They're trying to find ways.
And that's basically what I did. With my son, we don't have a cage, like I said, but I did get a catch net for him. And I had a tee at work. I brought it home, banged some balls around in the backyard. Well, a couple of those might have got out there. Sorry, neighbors, but hopefully we didn't hit any cars or anything. But then we started going to the parks just so we could see the ball flight a little bit more. But really, our backyard is not a lot of space for a batting cage. But we really would love to have one.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what we've done to kind of stay ready and stay in shape. So.
Now, is there any technologies that you guys have embraced at Cal Poly?
There is. We used, for our pitchers, Rapsodo. That was something we put in a couple of years ago. I used Blast Motion a couple of years ago. I liked both those. Expensive to keep up with. So with a limited budget that we're at with the state, A lot of our fundraise dollars went to that. But I've really seen good things with it. Now, I'm not a total analytical guy. Like, hey, it's got to be straight. Whatever this says, I'm going to go by this. I think some of it is good. I think some of it, you got to use your still eyes and your knowledge for the game. But I do think it helps the players now because they want to see numbers. They want to see the why. So we've used it to help that, to increase, okay, what's your bat speed at? They just want to know. Some of them have never been tested to see where they're at. Where is their skill set at? They know what it is on the field, but they don't know what the analytics say. So some of it is just using that to give them the information.
So what are some of the things that you see high school kids or even junior college kids now coming to a division school that's kind of eye-opening to them?
Wow, yeah, that's a big question, man. That's a big question. I think obviously just getting there and just, how do I want to answer this the best way that I can? I mean, there's so many things. There's so many factors when a kid walks onto your campus for the first time. The thing I tell them, every day is a new day. Your first year, every day is a new day. Open it with big eyes. Have big eyes. Observe. Don't say much. Observe, observe, observe. Watch us in practice. Get to know what the guys do, how they do it. Be quiet in the locker room. Not in a bad way. Just, hold your own. Yeah.
You have 2 ears, one mouth.
Exactly. Just kind of do that at first. The other thing is understand there's going to be some setbacks, but continue to keep pushing through those. We all understand. We played the game. We coached the game for a long time. We understand there's going to be setbacks. We're there to support. Yes, we're going to make it demanding. That's why the program is what it is. That's why like I tell them in the recruiting, that's why you came here. You wanted to be in a good program. You wanted to be pushed. But remember, along the way, there's sometimes some steps back. We've had to take 2 steps back with some kids in order to move forward. So if you can just understand that, get through that first year of just open your eyes to everything and then kind of go from there, you'll be fine.
Yep. Now, I know for your campus, you guys just signed an all-school deal with BSN.
Yep.
When I first met you, you were very much a Nike guy. Is that still true to this day? Or can you talk about how the evolution of the program and like how you get sponsorships, equipment, etc.?
Well, Nike's something we kind of went with a few years ago. Be honest with you, I went to New Balance first. I started with New Balance when I went there, and then it was, okay, what was my budget's not very strong, so what could I get for simple price? And it seemed like Nike was affordable pant at that time. So I went to Nike. And then at that point, I moved everything over to Nike. So everything that we wear is a Nike. And we were a Nike-based school. They wanted me to get Nike. But I had already started to go into that transition. The guys like the cleats are easy to get. The uniforms are durable, reliable. Guys like it just because it's got the brand of Nike. Yeah. When it comes to our equipment, like what we use, it's Rawlings. We use Rawlings stuff. Rawlings has given me a little sponsorship, so they help us out with some deals that we get on the bats and baseballs and things like that. So catcher's gear, travel bags. It's been very productive for us.
Yeah. It's funny because we actually had Steve from Rawlings in about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
And we were talking about just the evolution and how everything was tackle twill, and then now it's all about dye supplementation, how they want it to be stretchier, faster. And kids now when they walk on campus, like the travel ball teams and how much they put into what their bucket is for equipment. Like it used to be a kid would walk on a campus with the same glove they've had for 5 years, and you might have 5 or 6 different pairs of, you'd have New Balance, Nike, Under Armour, all on the same field. They'd all be the same color, but okay, and you kind of make it work. Versus now it's it must be like you were saying, it has to have that swoosh on it, it has to be in line with it.
Right. Well, for me, I like uniform. I like to be, everybody look the same way. That's why this year I went pants up, if you want to call them shorty pants.
Yep.
Just because you had some guys that liked that, some guys that didn't. But for me, it wasn't about, hey, these are implementing my rules. I just want us, if we're a team, we're going to look the same. So that's green shoes, it's green socks, it's white pants, whatever it might be. For me, that made us feel like a team. There was not an individual out there. We were all on the same field playing together. So that's why I like the uniform part a certain way. I like them to wear it a certain way. I'm not like John Wooden where you have to do it this way, but there's certain things I really want it to look like. And when we're out there competing, I want us to look like Cal Poly Pomona.
Yep.
How we've identified we are going to go at it.
So you have that signature every single time.
Yep.
Now,
I just started that. Sorry to interrupt you. I just started that this year. Just because budgets have loosened, before this pandemic, they loosened up a little bit. I don't know what it looks like forward, but when it wasn't as, I had a little bit more money, I was able to go to this spot. So I don't know what it looks like from here.
Now, does that also transition to on campus? So game day, so then that way the kids are, in essence, marketing for you. That
100%. 100%. I give them hoodies or shirts all year. I go, wear them to class. It's okay. It's okay. You wear that stuff. Let people know, because someone will say, hey, I didn't know we had a baseball team. I mean, that sounds crazy that college athletics is so strong throughout the country, but yet some people don't even understand we have a baseball team. We don't have football, so it's basketball and then it's baseball. Why not market us on? It's free marketing. Have those guys run around in it. It's great.
I find it crazy sometimes how many coaches don't market. Like coming from the Midwest and Michigan and like the Big Ten is like towns shut down every single Saturday. Like Friday nights is a real thing. But when I moved out to California, it's just very different. And coaches don't market. Like, you see the ones that do, and they do a brilliant job at it. But it's just a very different culture out here.
Well, there's so many more things to do. I mean, I'm a Midwest guy. I'm a Michigonian, by the way. So I was born in Grand Rapids. So I think for me, there's just in California, there's what are you marking for, right? I mean, there's Division I baseball, there's Division II, there's Division III, there's NAI, there's JC. Oh, there's professional baseball. We can go watch Mike Trout. So there's so much in the baseball thing. Within that shouldn't discourage you. You have to get your brand out there. You have to market to certain people and say, hey, this is what we're about. College athletics, right here locally.
Especially when you have, I'm talking, like, so much local influence, because you have so many commuters that go to Cal Poly.
Yes, I give them bumper or stickers. It's not bumper sticker, but I call it a sticker, bumper sticker, whatever. And I give them to the guys when they first get into our program. Here you go. Put this on your car. We want to be recognized. We want it to be out there. We want the green and gold to be out there all the time. Put it out there.
I've had coaches, we have masks now that, like, for Loma Linda University, I'm selling a bunch for the hospital. So then that way, like, it shows the brand. So when they're walking around, you might as well wear it, because you're going to have to.
Yep.
So it's like, for the price, it's the same as a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
I sent it to local businesses. I was like, look, this is just branding for you.
Yeah,
your guys are going to have to buy them anyway. You're either going to buy them from a guy trying to sell them to you for $20 out next to Costco.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart. Very smart.
What is the culture that, talking about like the culture of the university, what is the culture you try to instill in the locker room, on the field, and then putting that out to the community?
Well, we have standards and values that we like to, but for me, it's just toughness. We want to do the right thing. We want to be there every single day competing, but toughness, just come to work every single day. That's basically, it's really simple. Like I said, I'm a pretty simple guy, and that's what I try and instill. My grandfather was a big influence on me, and he was a farmer in Iowa. And I used to watch him. I used to head out there every summer and watch him. And it's just, no one as a farmer, no one's telling you what to do. You're either going to work hard that day to get the reward at the end, and you never know if there's a reward. Weather comes through and destroys your crops, you don't know. So when I watched him and I started thinking about it, I was like, man, just every day he goes out there and grinds. He just does it every single day. Doesn't complain about it. Understands there's going to be good years and there's going to be some bad years, but I'm just going to continue to keep going forward. And that's kind of what I instill in our guys every single day, is just get up, do the right thing, have a routine, and just grind out the day. No matter what comes your way, just keep grinding that day out, and then put days together. Keep putting days together. And eventually, we'll get to where we want to go. So I kind of really keep it simple that way. But same thing in the classroom. There's going to be some classes you really enjoy and you can't wait to get to. And then there's going to be some that, man, you got to be dragged to get in there. But, that's just part of it. And I said, but through those tough classes, hey, man, challenge yourself. See if you can get through it. And I think that's what we've really done a good job with. Myself and the coaches and the program is just take one day at a time and keep pushing forward. And that's the most important time right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in closing, if you could tell the folks at home or your kids or both one thing during this time and leave them with one message, what would it be?
There's so many, we've all heard them all. It's just, stay safe. I told our guys, stay safe. take care. Well, they were in school at this time when it all broke down. If I can go back a little bit, when it went from we're going 100 miles an hour in the season to 0, I really had to really sit our guys down on a Zoom call and just make sure their mental state was great. Because a lot of them, man, it was baseball, and then it was academics, baseball. Then it went no baseball and academics, and it was really hard for some guys. So for me, it was just making sure mentally they were there. They were handling the situation. So I would think making sure your mind is right, taking time to meditate or whatever you do, pray, whatever it is that you do, just to keep your mind sharp. That's the thing I kind of would put out there to everybody.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, Randy, I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Again, this is Inland Empire Sports Talk. We've been brought to you by BSN Sports. If you want to be on the program, please shout us out and email us at the link at the end. Past that, stay safe. God bless. Bye-bye.